I want to be a sandworm for Halloween. I was released into this world the same year as the original Beetlejuice movie. I am just a few months out of being exactly the same age as Beetlejuice. Anyway, when I was little, my parents had the videotape. They had the film on VHS, and I watched it a lot. Obviously, enough to affect my whole sense of aesthetics for the rest of my life. I do think that the sandworms in Beetlejuice specifically are possibly the cutest creatures ever to exist. Well, not exist. Obviously they don't exist. They are the cutest creatures ever to be designed and put into human consciousness. I think they're adorable. I love them so much. I think if I could have a pet sandworm, I would. So, obviously from the way I dress normally, I get called Beetlejuice all of the time. Yes, it would be much easier for me to be Beetlejuice for Halloween. It would be easier, it would be obvious, and people would expect me to be Beetlejuice for Halloween. I mean, I used to dye my hair green and wear stripes all of the time. And it's not like I was trying to be Beetlejuice, I just, when I was little, that sense of aesthetics went into my head. So obviously I want to be a sandworm, because for me it is all about the sandworms. It's all about the sandworms. No offence to the big man, no offence to BJ himself. Cool and all, iconic character. It's all about the sandworms for me. I want to be a sandworm. I want a pet sandworm. I want to be a sandworm. I should have my sandworm. Where's Alexander's sandworm? I'm getting my sandworm. There we go, that's better. This is Alexander Worms. He's my sandworm. He was made for me by a friend whose accounts I'll put on screen now. He was made for me so many years ago. He's made out of an old dress that's it's actually acrylic wool, so I can't cuddle him. I can't cuddle him because I'm allergic to him, because he is entirely synthetic fibres. But I'm actually a little bit itchy now because I got him out of his special bag and I wasn't wearing gloves. So I'm going to get an antihistamine and then we'll keep hanging out with Alexander Worms. I am recording this part of the video before making the costume, which I almost never do. Most of my videos, I make the thing and then I sit down and I chat with you and we do a little debrief. But this time, I'm going to tell you about this up front because there's two ways this could go. I have two plans. I've made my design and the design is very squishy and cozy because I wanted it to be a hoodie and I wanted it to be warm, and the design is full length because I want it to be a sandworm, right? But this is a costume for a club night. I intend to go clubbing in this outfit. I'll be roasting. I don't want to faint on the dance floor. That would be embarrassing. So I was thinking of making it out of thinner fabric. Either thinner fabric, still full length, or making it shorter and wearing it like short but with platform boots and being a sexy sandworm because it's Halloween and part of the modern tradition of Halloween is to be a sexy version of something that isn't sexy, right? To me, that's part of modern Halloween, and I think I could pull off being a sexy sandworm. Leave me a link if you think I could pull off being a sexy sandworm. So, also, it would be cheaper to make it single layered and short. It would be cheaper and it would be easier to make it single layer fabric and short dress. It would be a lot more expensive and take a lot more time to make it padded and thick and floor length. Leave a comment now with what you think I'm going to do. Do you think I'm going to do it the easy way that is sensible? Or am I going to do it the hard way that is insensible? Leave me a comment right now letting me know which of these two things you think I'm going to do. Because I don't know. I'm going to go to the fabric shop and I'm going to see what they've got, because my partner went and checked for me before. They definitely have thin like t-shirt material that's 100% cotton that I could use. And it has to be 100% cotton because I'm allergic to basically synthetic everything. It's a whole nightmare, but we go into that in other videos. I go into that more on Patreon. Don't worry about it right now. Right now we're talking about sandworms, specifically a sandworm costume. So they do have this fabric. They have thin t-shirt fabric, which would be perfect for making a short, thin costume. They do also have sweatshirt fabric, which would be heavier and thicker and warmer. But they don't have the sweatshirt fabric in 100% cotton all of the time. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. So if they don't have it, I would have to get double the amount of thin fabric and double layer it maybe, or put cotton wadding in between so that it was all squashy and soft. I really like the idea of doing that. I think that would be really cozy and nice to have 2 layers of t-shirt fabric with cotton stuffing in between. But again, I would be the sweatiest person in the club if I did that. So let's find out. Let's go fabric shopping and find out how this is going to go. Well, that did not go to plan. Does anything ever really go to plan? So I went to the fabric shop and I asked if they had cotton jersey or like cotton sweater fabric so that I could try and make this hoodie, you know, out of decent fabric. And I think I said in the first half that it felt a bit silly because I was planning on wearing this out clubbing, but I did still want to make it a proper hoodie. Doesn't matter, it didn't matter. The shop didn't have the fabric I needed. They only had poly cotton sweater fabric. They had pure cotton jersey and t-shirt fabric in black. They only had polyester in white, and obviously I needed both. And in the heavier, thicker sweater fabric, they only had poly cotton. There was nothing non-plastic. So I asked if they could get it in, and the nice people who run it said that they could order the fabric in for me, but it would take a week or 2, which isn't really useful to me since I wanted this for Halloween. So maybe in the future I will do that. Maybe in the future I will get actual sweater fabric and make a big long cozy sandworm hoodie, and that can be a whole different video when that happens. But for now, I had to improvise. If you cast your minds back to a previous video, one from early last year where I was making the magpie cape, I used dust sheet fabric to make a lining and a hood for that cape. I used to use these dust sheets to cover couches and mattresses and any big brick of plastic polyester that I was going to have to sit on because I'm allergic to it. It fucks me up neurologically. I'm not giving you more medical information publicly. That shit can be on Patreon. So that's what I used to use these dust sheets for. I still used most of them for that, obviously, but I have used them to do sewing projects and to make practice things and for all sorts of strange projects because it's cheap cotton fabric, I suppose. But when I was making the magpie cape, I dyed one of them black so that I would have a black hood for the cape, and I still had the rest of that fabric, and most of the dust sheets are this just sort of
beige colour. So it's not perfect, it's not black and white, like it's not stark black and white the way I would prefer it to be, but it is, you know, almost black. It's a very dark bluish grey that the black dust sheet actually turned out to be, and a sort of beige colour, which is, will do, it'll do, it's fine, it'll do for Halloween, right? And I thought about making the rest of it quite rough. I was going to just overlock the edges and leave it quite homemade looking, but my darling best friend in the world, who is helping me learn to sew, said that we should still do the rest of it properly, or as properly as possible. So we were still going to add the teeth, we were still going to give it red eyes, and we were still going to do the green bias binding so that it would have green lips. Because we might as well do it as properly as possible so that it looks as good as possible, and also it means I have the practice doing that for if I eventually get the fabric to do this properly. Yeah, so we did that. We did all of that. Step one was to turn black fabric and beige fabric into striped fabric, which involved cutting out a whole bunch of rectangles and then overlocking them all together, which is terrifying because an overlocker is like a horse combined with a printer. They can smell fear and it will bite you. Terrifying thing. I hate it so much, but I did it anyway. I didn't cry. Maybe I am slowly getting over my fear of it, I don't know. Anyway, we turned the fabric into stripes. And then from there, we used a pattern. I had this old pattern for a hoodie. And I love the visual and the concept of this very cute pattern that's intended to be a sort of normal person's hoodie, and they've got this nice cheerful model on the front modelling her, you know, cheerful model modelling her cute hoodie, and I'm like, perfect. You know what we're going to do with this? I'm going to make it goth and weird, and this grubby old man's going to wear it instead. The red eyes and the green bias binding are done in linen. They're just scraps and offcuts from projects that my wife was working on because, you know, she's very colourful. We're a very sort of classic rainbow girly, monochrome boy sort of couple. But it means she had offcuts of red and green fabric that I could use. So we used those. They're pure linen. I still have to paint the eyes, like the eye details in, which I might do. The way it looks right now with the big empty red eyes, I think gives it a very homemade charm. But I also think I'm going to paint in details. I'm going to paint the details on the eyes. And then we'll try it on. The length of it is not what I planned really. Like it was. It's obviously the original drawing that I made for this is full length, and then I didn't want it to be actually full length because I wanted to be able to dance wearing it. So we talked about making it just regular, like waist length, like it would be normal hoodie length, but I wanted it to be a little bit longer so that it still looked like a worm. So we went with about knee length, or like just above knee length, but then the fabric kind of stretched because it's a very loose weave dust sheet fabric, so it's kind of stretched, and you know, I wasn't measuring it that carefully anyway, so it's a little bit longer than knee length, and I think it's quite perfect. It's a really good length to show that it is a full body worm, but also it gives me enough leg movement that I can dance in it. I thought about saving this video so that I would have photos and stuff of me wearing it on Halloween, but I've decided this video really needs to go up before Halloween, right? Come on now. Have you all seen Beetlejuice? I hope so. I probably asked that in the first half of this video. I don't know what I talked about in the first half because it was a couple of weeks ago now. I think that's everything. Thank you for sticking with me. I have another video that is recorded that I will be currently editing that's going to be ready for November. I have a sewing project planned that will be my December project. Not sure what we're doing for January yet, but I have done drawings already for February. I'm getting back into the swing of things. Life is settling down. And over on Patreon you'll see all sorts of behind the scenes stuff, extras, more updates from my life. You get early access to everything as well, and a lot more of the art and planning type bit of my process. But if you don't want to pay $1 single a month to support me on Patreon, don't worry about it. I'm still going to keep making videos for free. Thanks for being here. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself and each other.